shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of criminals who operate above the law.
Hey, it's me. Welcome to MAFIA. Now a very special video for the weekend, so you have something to listen to. But also we have a special occasion here. It's been 2 years since I decided to go on YouTube to support the Trump campaign with my little videos, even if they only got 100 views or 200. Because I wanted to be part of the historic election, and of course I knew Trump was going to win. On the other hand, I have to admit I did not expect that the deep state, including some of these FBI people and the intelligence community, would be so brazen and so criminal in their intent to undermine a new president. So that's why I stayed longer than what I anticipated. To be honest, I was going to be on YouTube until President Trump won the South Carolina primary. And then after that I was like, I'll stay until Super Tuesday and see how he does. And then after that I said, okay, I'm going to wait till the Michigan primary, because I already suspected way back when that he would eventually win Michigan. So I stayed for that. And then I stayed for the GOP nomination. And then I saw the GOP trying to undermine the fact that he would be the nominee, and preferring even Senator Cruz, which would be hilarious, but still, I decided to stay. Then I was depressed. I will be honest, I was depressed because I said, okay, now if I'm going to start making more videos, I'm going to have to look for pictures of Hillary Clinton and make videos about Hillary Clinton. I mean, that's disgusting, to be honest. It's not a labor of love. It's like cleaning the sewer, or just, realizing that there is evil in this world and you gotta talk about it. It's like I don't even like to watch car accident videos or people getting hurt. Not that I'm soft or anything like that, but I would say, why bother? Why put that in my head when I can go looking at Soyen and have a big smile on my face, right? And that's why I often use her as branding for the channel, or some videos, some music videos, to make people feel better, right? There's no use to always fill your head with a lot of filth or evil, right? There's evil everywhere. That's why I sometimes have comedy videos, just so you know that. But I have to admit that having made so many videos for these 2 years, I feel like a loser, right? I spent a lot of time online and I could have been doing other things. On the other hand, years from now, I want to look back and I want to say, okay, I was a part of it. And I feel happy that during the election, especially in the last months, many people felt more comfort listening to my positive words, because of course I knew that Trump was going to win, but a lot of people did not know. And, you have the fake polls, and you have other sites, even on the Trump side, saying he can't win, it's being fixed. But that's not my attitude. Now I'm realistic in an optimistic way, and so therefore I feel kind of accomplished that President Trump did in fact win, and he won, and my prediction was only 2 electoral votes off, and he got Michigan and Pennsylvania as I predicted. And I realized then that I have some insight. I don't know how or where that comes from, but it does seem that I have good sense about things that will be happening. And so after that I realized that even more, and I guess that's one of the things that I will take away, is that I found out I have some ability in some area that maybe I can use it for other purposes. But I will say that I stayed on for a reason that I didn't anticipate, as I mentioned earlier in this video. That is the deep state attacks on President Trump. Of course, you can expect liberals to obstruct and, to sit on their hands. But really, this criminal activity, I decided to continue making videos. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make videos until the inauguration. And then the first 100 days. But then you get sucked in to that criminal activity, right? And that's really what I want to focus on right now. Because there's something I did notice, and it's not popular to say it, but President Trump, according to the James Comey memos that we just saw, had a perfect understanding about who was setting him up, framing him, and trying to undermine his presidency. He knew that from the start. And he knew who the key players were. And he also knew that Obama had surveillance on him and people around him. Now, if you know all of that, then you already have a head start in creating a counter. And that is something about the deep state and the left and everybody else that really provided more evidence of the Trump rule. These people don't understand the Trump rule, which is never underestimate Donald Trump. Well, they all did. Turns out this guy knew all of their tricks and plans, even from the get-go. And so he was formulating this counter, which really involves people that you would never expect. Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Jeff Sessions, people that are hated by a lot of these fake right media people, but in general, some people don't have a good feeling. And that's maybe exactly why these people were a part of the counter, because of course you're going to surprise your enemy, and some of these people, they fly under the radar and they have a reputation that you would never expect these people to be working for Trump in the counter. Now, many people just don't understand that Chairman Devin Nunes is an amazing guy. He was part of the transition team. He also recommended Pompeo and Mattis to President Trump. Turns out these are two hardcore loyalists of President Trump, and they're awesome. And so Devin Nunes really has great skill in picking people or recommending people. What people don't understand is that Devin Nunes is chairman of the Intel Committee, which means he's there at the pleasure of Speaker Ryan, which means that everything Devin Nunes has been doing, even when faced with a lot of criticism and media attacks, it's with the full backing and approval of Speaker Ryan, which means that Speaker Ryan was part of Trump's counter against the deep state since the start. Now, a lot of people just can't get it through their very thick-boned skull that this is the case. Speaker Ryan has been a secret weapon that President Trump has been using exactly because people on the left and the right never ever would expect that. Well, that's what happened, and Devin Nunes was really the tool. Now, Devin Nunes is from California, has been dealing with liberals for all of his life, let's say, and he really understands how they operate, just like President Trump has been dealing with liberals all his life in New York, and he knows how they operate. So you can anticipate what they will do in a way they're predictable, because they often use similar playbooks. But also, if you're in a liberal state dealing with liberals, you really become polarized. You start to really dislike these people, and you start to see they're evil. But like I said, evil in a way is predictable, and that's why Chairman Nunes has been such an amazing asset. And we have to understand that this asset has been deployed by Speaker Ryan. Now, the liberals did sideline Devin Nunes with these bogus ethics charges, So Devin Nunes was kind of out of the picture for half a year, let's say, but he came back bigger, stronger than ever before. The $6 million Devin Nunes coming out with subpoenas all over the place. Fantastic. But we have to understand that Speaker Ryan was President Trump's secret weapon from the start in this counter. But not just Speaker Ryan, Oogway, the turtle, okay, Mitch McConnell, who people also don't like, and Steve Bannon was attacking the guy and trying to get rid of him, but seeing that we now know Sloppy Steve was a traitor, then you know that Mitch McConnell was on the Trump team, and Sloppy Steve, being inside of the West Wing, saw that, and that's why he probably tattletaled to George Soros, and then they wanted to take out Mitch McConnell, because the other secret weapon happens to be Mitch McConnell. And I'm going to have to add, because many people just don't understand, that I'm never talking about trusting. I'm never talking about real friends. I'm always talking about President Trump knows how to deal with people, to have people work for him and do things for him, even if they're doing it for self-interest, and maybe that's exactly why they're doing it. That's what a leader does. A boss can tell people, hey, do this, do that. That's easy. Everybody can be a boss. You can be a boss. I can be a boss. Just give somebody a title and the authority, and you can tell people what to do. And then they jump and they decide how high. But when you're a leader, you get down into the battle with these people, and you're together, marching in a direction. And everybody has their own reason of why they're doing it. But a true leader understands what motivates people, and they will do it because they want to, not because they're told to do it. And that's one of the talents that President Trump obviously has. He's a great boss, but he's also a great leader. So if you can get these, these two rhinos, let's be honest, who have been part of the deep state or the establishment, if you can get them to walk in the same direction and they're doing things for themselves, but it serves you, I mean, that's amazing. And there's a case in point in October of last year. Yeah, the Bush family and their allies trying to organize a coup against President Trump. Now, this was a big deal. You had senators come out in a rebellion, including McCain, Corker, and others. Then they even brought out W. Bush to make a speech. And it was all at the same time, exactly when President Trump was under pressure with the Mueller probe, and everything seemed to be falling apart. That's when they pounced. The Bush family and their allies. And their idea was based on Watergate, right? You know that Bush Sr. was in the CIA a long time, and they know how to do that stuff. But they're dealing with Donald Trump here, and it's different because he's not a politician. He's not part of the establishment. What they wanted to do was to have a mutiny in the Senate. That all these senators say, okay, we're not going to work with this president anymore. It's over. Like a sit-down strike of sorts. And that, similar to what happened to Nixon, the president would realize that he cannot continue as president, has to resign. Because Nixon was never impeached. He just resigned because he got word that nobody wanted to work with him anymore. And that's what the Bushes wanted to do. And so they had a couple of senators, and they thought that with this uprising, then everybody would join. But Mitch McConnell got all the other senators, which is the majority, together at the White House, and they were there at the time, and he basically had them pledge allegiance to President Trump in a way, and they were giving President Trump a standing ovation. I mean, that's the opposite of mutiny, and that was Mitch McConnell. And with that, he showed incredible levels of testosterone for the turtle that he is, and the old man that he is. And it's something that people can't give him credit for, because people don't really understand how big that is, and it's an accomplishment. And then later, you have Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell coming together with the whole of the GOP to pass the giant historic tax cuts, which for me, it's a very big deal, right? That's one of my pet issues since 2015. And I had many expectations because it's Donald Trump. But he overachieved. I mean, he did so many things that I was so impressed. And he did 25% more, even in the face of all these attacks, the obstruction, and the media going after him every single day. He accomplished so much already, and I'm really grateful. And so are the American people. But going back in time, when James Comey tried to set up President-elect Trump with a meeting mentioning, the prostitute part of the Trump dossier, not the other things, so that they would have an excuse to then leak it to CNN or have CNN publish it. At that time, you also had James Comey lying to Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and Devin Nunes in a big meeting, mentioning the Trump dossier, but never mentioning that this was paid for by Hillary and the Democrats. And he never said that it was paid for by Hillary. Only many, many months later, we had to find out. And so that gives even more power to our side when you realize that these people have not only been setting up President Trump, they've been lying to Devin Nunes, to Mitch McConnell, to Speaker Ryan, and everyone else that was at the meeting, trying to hide the fact that this Trump dossier, this whole construct, was paid for by Hillary and the Democrats, and that the FBI was involved in it even. And so this really changes the mentality of people, because you start to see criminals, not people who have a different opinion or people from the establishment. You start to see criminal activity, and you start to realize that you have to do something because you cannot allow it to go on. And so there was a kind of unity, and that's why President Trump was able to use them as secret weapons. And because nobody would expect that, it's been that effective. But Chairman Nunes has really been the one that came out with subpoenas and pressuring Rosenstein and, threatening contempt of Congress. And that is also because of Speaker Ryan. He can't just do it by himself. And the same goes for threats of impeachment. I never saw Trey Gowdy do that or the others. They played a game. But Chairman Nunes is not playing any games. And so we did see progress. And now I'm going to talk about Jeff, because I've criticized Jeff Sessions only recently, because pretty much I support the guy. And my only criticism has been that if he's Attorney General, you need to be a leader. And that also means that people don't start doing monkey business. Like, look at James Comey in the FBI. He calls himself a leader, but Peter Strzok and Andrew McCabe and all these other people were doing whatever they wanted. They had zero respect for James Comey. Even though James Comey was on their side, they didn't see him as a leader. And you can see nowadays, the guy's a complete liberal snowflake. There's no leadership ability there at all. James Comey is not a leader in any sense of the word. And it's sad because the guy was FBI director. But if you look at Jeff Sessions, he was senator for a long time, and that's not a leadership position. So sometimes I think that he's more about, that kind of friendly pressure to friends around you, right? Colleagues, and then doing stuff together, right? That's how the Senate works, but that's not leadership. You need a person that is more hardcore, authoritarian, if you wish. I mean, it should be like that. And that doesn't mean you have to tell everybody what to do, but people are not going to start doing all this monkey business around you because there's this invisible force that they respect. And I'm afraid that may not be there. And that Rod Rosenstein just does what he wants. That, maybe Jeff is more interested in making sure that everybody feels empowered to do their job. And I said that after that warrant was issued by Rosenstein going to the Southern District in New York and getting that judge to issue the warrant for the search on Michael Cohen, right? I mean, this should simply not happen if you have a very strong Trump loyalist leader there. People wouldn't even dare to do it. But it happened. And that's the only time I criticize Jeff Sessions, because I know people want to get rid of him because of his stance on immigration and all his hard work up to this point. And even now you have James Comey lying again. First he said it was John Kelly that said that there was something dishonorable about the way Trump was treating people. And they called him out and the lie didn't fly. So he said, well, maybe it was the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General. Now, of course, I can understand it's possible Rod Rosenstein said something like that. But even that, I doubt. He wouldn't be saying that to some twerp like James Comey, giving yourself away like that. And I don't see Jeff Sessions saying that at all. I mean, why would Jeff Sessions have allegiance to James Comey instead of President Trump, who he campaigned with for many months? And suddenly there's James Comey, and then he's going to say something like that about Trump to James Comey? I don't think so. But now you have another story that says, okay, Jeff Sessions told some White House counsel, if Rosenstein is fired, I'm leaving too. Even that I doubt. I mean, it's President Trump that hired Rod Rosenstein. It's not like Jeff Sessions has an incredible love for Rod Rosenstein. So there's a lot of fake news going around about Jeff Sessions, even from the right. Maybe they're angry about the weed, or maybe they just expect an Attorney General that's on Fox News every week, like Trey Gowdy, and saying mean things. But that's not what an Attorney General should be like. Now, a lot of dopes out there in the media, they believe that if President Trump is criticizing Jeff Sessions, that means he hates Jeff Sessions, or Jeff Sessions is a deep state. But it's just a way to push people. And not only that, he really wants to talk smack about Rosenstein, but he does it by attacking Jeff Sessions, who just has to take it. It's not fun, but come on, I see acting when I see it, and it's really about pushing the whole DOJ, and especially Rod Rosenstein. But you have to understand that Jeff Sessions did do a lot, and in December he executed exactly what President Trump wanted, just like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell executed exactly what President Trump wanted for the omnibus. And again, the media on the left and the right, they don't even understand what is going on. It's so aggravating, to be honest. But Jeff Sessions opened all these investigations. Uranium One, Hillary's email, the Clinton Foundation, Obama Hezbollah, the leaks investigation, and he appointed a special prosecutor that is not in D.C. and that reports directly to Jeff Sessions, not Rod Rosenstein. And that's an amazing difference. People just cannot appreciate how important that is. And he's also doing things by the book, meaning working with the OIG, the Office of the Inspector General, and as you can see with the McCabe story and now the James Comey story, it's working. It's working. Everything has changed. Now, a lot of people talk about everything being so slow, and it's about time, but this is all happening incredibly fast. In just a year, we found out all the dark secrets, and Christopher Steele, and who paid for the dossier, and FISA abuses, and just the detail. And in the process, we even caught these people lying under oath in Congress. And now we're at a stage where you have investigations going on since December with a special prosecutor. We have criminal referrals, and the dominoes are starting to fall. I mean, that is incredibly quick. And luckily, and that is because of the good work of people like Chairman Nunes, but also Jeff Sessions. And it's very hard over there because you're in a DOJ, and a lot of these top people are corrupt, and you understand that not everything in prosecutions or investigations moves very quickly. And out there in the real world, that's just a fact of life. So if you compare that to the speed at which we found so many things out, that we can now even do criminal referrals, I mean, that's incredible. And you have to understand, if you do prosecutions, you need slam dunk cases. You can't be sloppy. You can't have loose ends. You really have to investigate and make sure, and then triple check before you go ahead. And so with McCabe, it was pretty easy. So I don't think a prosecution for McCabe will be a big problem. James Comey, a little bit more difficult, but I think that's going to be pretty successful. And some of the others. I mean, now the targets are not only James Clapper, but also John Brennan, maybe Samantha Power and Susan Rice. And eventually we'll get to Hillary and Obama. I mean, that is really possible. And these people are starting to feel the heat, believe you me. But I will say that Jeff Sessions played an instrumental part here in opening all these investigations. And that was December, just after he got rid of all these Obama holdovers. Now, John Huber was selected by President Trump to get another 4 years. Now, people are always calling him an Obama holdover. Well, I call him somebody that Trump picked for the next 4 years to be the attorney in Utah. So it's a Trump guy. It's not an Obama guy. And so I have total confidence in John Huber. And thank goodness we have John Huber as well as Devin Nunes. And I will say that I'm very optimistic. Now you have the FBI part of it. Peter Strzok, McCabe, James Comey. You have the intelligence community, especially James Clapper, John Brennan. You also have to look at the DOJ, from Loretta Lynch to Rod Rosenstein, and how to handle that part of it. Now, the Mueller probe is very interesting because it's a part of the setup and the frame up, and it's part of the James Comey interview and the leaking, and it's all connected, obviously. But that's also why Rod Rosenstein is connected, as well as to the FISA abuses. So, honestly, this rat should have been fired already. But, you know, with Trump, you always know there's a purpose there. And maybe Rat Rosenstein can be useful, can be used like a tool. And then after he does everything that he wants, then you throw him in the river, right? Or in the canyon. And bye-bye, right? Or call the exterminator. Get rid of this rat. But have them fix things, do things. And maybe Rat Rosenstein wants to do it to save his job, but, you know, President Trump has a long memory about these things. He's not going to forgive. You know, some people, he will get even eventually, even if it takes a really long time. After all, he's the godfather of the Trump Mafia. And so, if you look at the DOJ, it's a little bit annoying with the probe, the Mueller probe, approved by the DOJ. And I just feel like if they can successfully conclude the probe, then, I don't know, in the future, Mueller should also be arrested, in my opinion, for having abused power. But you cannot be greedy also. In the sense of prosecutions, I feel you have to pick the major people in the conspiracy, and then people that are ultimately responsible, the Obama administration, and that means Barack Obama. And of course the Hillary campaign, that means Hillary. And I feel like President Trump should have no more mercy for Hillary Clinton, but we'll see how it plays out. But I will say that the deep state failed. I mean, this whole conspiracy failed. And in fact, it has turned on them because of the people that I mentioned in this video. And that's incredible. It's like a Mexican standoff where suddenly you have the other party and they're out of ammo, right? And that's what happened to the Mueller probe, the whole deep state, and now this DNC lawsuit. It's like complete desperation. It's so pathetic to see these people who have nothing, and they're abusing the legal system in so many different ways that it really shows a lot about who we're dealing with here. And so I'm going to have to repeat, I still stand by that all of this is possible. The success is really because of President Trump having that insight and knowing everything even before he became president about this conspiracy. He anticipated their every move, and he initiated all of what happened next. And we're talking about the four horsemen: President Trump, Chairman Nunes, Speaker Ryan, and Jeff Sessions, and the turtle, Uruguay, Mitch McConnell. These are the people that did it, not Rand Paul, not Trey Gowdy, and none of these people at InfoWars, and none of these people that are the usual heroes, because that's fake. I'm talking about reality here, who really did it. And there's no one on YouTube that hated on Paul Ryan more than I did. I have so many videos hating on Paul Ryan, and even the Never Trumper, Mark Levin. But I realize when people step up and do great things, and that's why I praise Speaker Ryan for doing what he did. And even recently I was praising Mark Levin. I mean, you never would have thought that like a year ago or 2 years ago, but it happened, right? So I'm not brainwashed about anyone. If Nancy Pelosi comes out tomorrow and she's 100% supportive of the Trump Nation and President Trump and kisses his ring, as it were, and becomes a sex slut, no, that's too much, and she's completely on board doing everything Trump wants, I will like Nancy. I might, no, that's too much also. I will date her. No, let's not exaggerate. But what I'm saying is, when people do good things, you always have to judge by action. It's not, like I said in the beginning of this video, about trusting. Now I suddenly trust Paul Ryan, or I suddenly trust Jeff Sessions, or other people. No. I judge by actions. But you have to realize that just like I did not see everything, a lot of people do things behind the scenes, and that's part of the operation. President Trump is using people that nobody would ever know that they're secretly organizing all these attacks. They're flying under the radar. Steve Mnuchin is another guy that nobody knows is like a mastermind behind many of the Trump operations out there. But that's the way we like it, right? You use stealth. I mean, that's one of the great tactics that President Trump is using. And so even I did not realize that in 2017, but eventually I do see it, and that's why I'm talking about it. But maybe it's better that nobody really knows, because then you can continue doing that stuff. But you may have other operators that even I don't know about right now that are actively working for Trump, and we'll find out in 6 months from now. If I'm here, I'll tell you about it. If I'm not here, maybe somebody else will realize it. I don't know. And so for the coming years, this is what I expect. We're going to move to nationalism, true national conservatism. Now, in the first year, President Trump puts in people that the establishment may feel more secure about. Okay, Reince Priebus, that seems okay, and this guy, the other guy, seems okay. But you notice that President Trump is changing his team and putting in people that actually, that's his dream team, right? He wants to create his dream team, and it's going to be a hardcore nationalist dream team. Okay, we're talking about tough people, smart people, people that are not playing any games, and people that are loyal. And so I expect that we're going to move up to that next level. If we do well in the midterms, which I expect, then we're going to that next level. It's going to be nationalism, and that's not something to be afraid of. It's something to embrace, where the nation really is number one in terms of the economy, in terms of culture, and in terms of our hearts. We're talking about national conservatism, and he will introduce that in a way that people can really understand it, because it is based on the foundation of our nation, and it is something that really fits with our nation and our history, and that's why I believe it will be a success, and it'll change our nation. Like I said, it'll bring us to the next level, what the founding fathers always imagined, right? And we're talking about making our nation better. And so we're not talking about, like left-wing National Socialism or left-wing communism. We're talking about national conservatism. And so it's about we the people. It really is. But with a deep respect and love for our nation, putting our nation number one. And that means, you love the flag, the anthem, and it's because we are a special nation, and that is something that has been lacking in the last many years. You have very few people out there that understand just how far we have gone from that original concept and the founding of our nation, and we have to get back to that. And so it's repairing the decades of decadence, if you will, or the dark ages, as I call it, the Bushes, the Clintons, Obama, and we're going to get back to having pride in our nation, that the culture reflects that. We're not going to let, small niches of people who hate our nation dominate the media anymore. It's going to be about loving our nation. And so President Trump will be introducing that in the next several years, step by step, but it does involve uniting the nation under these principles and a love of country. Now it's a big task, but he's just a man to do it. And I believe that it's possible. It's going to be like a rebirth of our nation. It's going to be like the new 1776. And in many ways, we're doing that. We're in progress. But I'm talking about major steps that you will notice it. It'll be something new, but very beautiful, based on national conservatism. And it's like a new level. It's a level up for our nation. And we're going to be bigger and stronger than ever before. And you know what? Everybody's going to be proud of it. And we're all going to be proud of it. We're all going to be united under one flag.
All right.